Hello, guys. Welcome to our Euro Football Verdicts, our weekly podcast where we'll pass judgment on the European football week that passed and the one that is ahead. This one will look into our continental European football, but with a southern touch. I'm joined by Marco.
Hey, guys.
Hello,
And
guys.
Stefano.
How's it going?
My name is Alex, and this is our first podcast of the series. Let's kick it off with what happened in the past week. Stefano, what happened in Milan?
All right. I'm so glad to have the chance to talk about the first topic ever in our first episode of the podcast. And what a better way to start it than with the man who self-proclaimed himself as the new Benjamin Button. And of course, I'm referring to Zlatan Ibrahimovic himself. So, of course, Ibrahimovic joined AC Milan in the last January. And since then, he scored 10 goals, which for half a year and for a 38, soon to be 39-year-old is quite a lot, in my opinion. But it's not only that. Ibrahimovic has had such a great impact on AC Milan that the team has been playing undisputably much better since his arrival. So right now, there are many discussions about the renewal of his contract for another year. And my main point is how important actually Zlatan Ibrahimovic can be or is for AC Milan at this point.
That's a good point, Stefano. It's quite hard to give a judgment to the renewal because undoubtedly he really changed the season for AC Milan. When you think at where AC Milan was just December 2019, or January 2020, across the end of the year, it was a completely lost team. It was. I believe even in the second half of the championship.
They were, but like in November to December, they were even like sixth last or something like that. So such a horrible start for AC Milan this year.
Yeah, precisely. And then there was a managerial change that definitely helped the players to change their mindset. But Ibrahimovic was key in switching, in turning off that trigger of, hey, we need to do better. He has a lot of charisma. He's able to carry a team. He is well renowned between other players, as well as, generally speaking, like players do listen to him. He has a very strong personality. I think that really helped in changing the season of AC Milan.
For sure. I would like to underline that it's not only the goals, but like he's been playing also in the midfield, trying to start new actions. So he's been such a strong personality, both outside and inside the football court. And if you were like the managers of AC Milan, would you actually renew Zlatan's contract?
To be honest, it's a very interesting question. I don't know. I feel like the Milan project is the project that never restarts. You know, it's the European giant that the longest asleep. You know, you had the Dortmund waking up, Liverpool waking up, and somehow this Milan, it's still sleeping. And the question is, should you base your team in the future around a 38, 39-year-old player? I don't know. I like the charisma. I like the way he pushes people. But isn't it another way to try to save face instead of, restarting the Milan project?
Yeah, that's a very good point indeed. But also, I think the discussion about his renewal of the contract has also shown that sometimes like the management of AC Milan has proven to be not so looking forward in the future, but rather at the present time. And by this, I mean that AC Milan was going to change manager, and it was almost certain until a couple of weeks ago. But then they decided to confirm Pioli on the bench after his very strong performances post-lockdown. And it is probably because of the confirming of Pioli that eventually Zlatan is going to stay, right? Because Milan was going to hire Rangnick as manager, and probably Zlatan would not have been the perfect fit for Rangnick's view. What do you think?
Yeah, Rangnick definitely loves to work with youngsters. Like if we see the whole Red Bull experience in football, he was a major player, if not the leader of the Red Bull revolution in football. So he started playing youngster, buying them for cheap, selling them for expensive, getting players that no one did see as strong as they really were, and investing in them over time, creating a good team, getting Salzburg to places where, to be honest, Austrian football hasn't ever been really. So he really managed to make the change. At the same time, no matter how much you want to look forward, it's also hard to fire a manager that gave you 30 out of the last 36 points. Literally, post-COVID, he was like Milan was the team that they made the most points. It's quite hard to fire a manager like that. However, I really would like to quote what Alex said. It feels like they're never able to make that step, be it because of external factor, change of presidency, of ownership, really, be it because indeed someone that you were investing to, such as Gattuso, turned out that the second season wasn't as strong as the first one, or be it because when you finally decided that, hey, I really want to change the team from inside out, the manager that you have gives us such a run of performance that it's super hard to fire him. Like, no matter what would be the result next year, people would look at 30 out of 36 points as if only we were to have kept Pioli. And you couldn't claim success next year, no matter what, if you were to fire Pioli. So it's quite weird, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm afraid that everything that happened has shown that once again that the lack of vision that AC Milan management unfortunately has shown in the past few years. Because like while it is true that with such strong performances it would be a waste probably not to confirm Pioli on the bench and also Zlatan on the attack. But still, there was this project, long-term project with Rangnick and the new foundation of AC Milan. And this was abandoned just because of still a very good winning streak, but just a winning streak. So yeah, I feel very undecided as well. Like as an AC Milan supporter, from the emotional perspective, I'm so happy that Pioli has been confirmed. I'm so happy that I can still see Zlatan for one more year because that's great. And I felt very bad that he was going to leave football or at least go to a minor league. But I also see what you mean. Like from a strictly rational and programming perspective, that may not have been like the most possibly the best choice in the long term. Yeah. So
yeah, my question also is, isn't he also somehow stopping the development of future stars, such as Rafael, who, let's be honest, you cannot turn him like you turn Ante Rebic, who you can put on a wing. Rafael Leão, yeah, he's fast, but he isn't the most technically gifted player. It doesn't have that. He's a 9.5 to a 9. He's someone who needs to be in front of goal, who needs the love and care, to blossom. And isn't he like stopping his development? Because if Zlatan is there, Zlatan will play.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's no way Zlatan is not playing as almost every match in the next season. And I share your concern as well, because I feel that Rafael Leão has such strong potential, but this year he didn't really have the chance to explode, to show all of his actual skills. And I also feel that while he has the power and the physical skills to do so, maybe he lacks some concentration or maybe self-motivation. And possibly, like starting from the bench for most of next year matches is not going to be the best way for him to really show his true strength. So yeah, that's another concern as well. Yeah. Also, like I was wondering that, for instance, Boban, who used to be in the upper management of Milan, left after a very bad argument with Gazidis, the CEO of AC Milan. And that was about hiring Rangnick, because Boban did not share Gazidis' vision in this sense. So doesn't it feel like awkward that right now, even though Boban left for this reason, then they still are not going to hire Rangnick and confirm Pioli instead?
Oh, that really showed the confusion that Milan has right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I hardly can see where they're going with. And it's not just because of Ibrahimovic or Pioli itself. It's really the whole management. So with Rangnick, also Maldini was with 1 foot out of the door. So he was about to leave. Now it seems that Maldini is going to stay. As you mentioned, Boban has left. There's a lot of confusion that doesn't feel like there is a clear structure in the way things are approached. And to be honest, even if you look at the tactical vision, right? Where is this Milan going? So the goal is Champions League. Like that was the goal that was declared when Gazidis came in.
Yeah, for
However,
sure.
can you really, as we mentioned, Ibra is not someone that will stay in the bench. Can you really expect a 39 years old to carry you to Champions League?
That's was something that we're gonna have to find out probably because Zlatan is most likely gonna renew his contract eventually. And yeah, I agree with the confusion. Luckily, we are distant from the memes of the Chinese era, but still even around now with the Elliott hedge fund, still have not are far from being settled, let's say. But yeah, we are gonna see what happens in this sense. And right now, I think we can just wait and move to the next topic.
Yeah, that's my topic. So from one of the best players that possibly is out there, or at least believes he's the best player, to one of the manager that it's renowned in Italy as being one of the best, Conte. So what happened? Now, imagine this situation. You have a team that after that you make the best result since 2012, that you bring to the same amount of points as Mourinho did during the triplete. The team that during this league conceded the least goals, second best goal scoring team, the least number of defeats. Now you finish this season 1 point from Juventus that won 9 leagues in a row. Now, if I describe this scenario, you would say, whoa, that's a very good season. Quite unlucky because you finish 1 point from the top, but a very good season nonetheless.
For sure.
What does Conte? The first thing after the last game, strongly attacks the management. And I'm quoting here. So he said, the management is weak. I don't want to take all the hassle by myself. I don't want to be the point that where all the stress is conveyed to. He mentioned directly that basically this result is coming only from the players and himself, not by the management. And after this conversation, there was a lot of speculation of why this was coming from. Did he wanted more money for transfer market? Did he wanted just to make a strong statement? Did he want to leave? As we all know, Sarri is not in a very good position at Juventus as well. And Conte never denied that Juventus was the favorite, was his beloved place. He was a Juventus player. He's a strong supporter of Juventus, and he probably wants to be a Juventus manager again in the future. But this comment came a little bit out of nowhere. I'm not sure if any of you has any thoughts about why this came from, where could this came from, and what could be the next step.
Well, I mean, clearly he was very out and about saying it's not about the transfer market. So that's first one. He was very clear. He said, well, among many things, he doesn't feel the protection from the club. He gave the hint that, I need to talk to the president, but he's in China. I was to believe that, the distance of the president. So, to be honest, my question here is, where is Mr. Marotta in this?
That's a good point.
Yeah, where is
because he's supposed to be the strong man, behind him. He's supposed to be the figure of the sporting director, who will come and knock on the desk and say, guys, stop this, stop attacking us. The team is united. And although it's not his style, I'll grant him that, but he's just not showing up.
Yeah.
So Conte has to do the defense of the team. So to be honest, I don't buy the whole I want to go back to Juventus situation just yet.
It's too
but
early.
I buy that the club needs to grow up. He even mentions, talking about Spalletti, seeing an interview of Spalletti 3 years ago, and they say, well, the same problems are still there.
Yeah, but Inter Milan's season is not over yet because, of course, Italian Championship is over, but there's still Europa League to play. So what kind of impact could such strong declarations have on the morale of the team and on its future results, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think there's the two opposites, right? It either goes to a Mourinho-like way, in the sense that the team gets together and really becomes unite, seeing enemies outside, seeing being unprotected. or you get the very opposite the like scenario that can happen, more like what we see right now in Barcelona, just to make a comparison, right, where the team just isn't bonded because there are people accusing each other of being the reason why the team is not performing. And then of course each player will pick a side, either you're on Marotta side or you're on Conte side, or whatever, management versus trainer, whatever you want to see it. But there's gonna be some kind of falling apart of the good environment that at least from outside they have created at Inter. It's quite hard to say. I think it's really a 50-50 for me, at least. Alex, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, to be I think the support on the transfer market is there. So we're discussing very, very fine lines. It's the difference between being second and first. I think, well, let's be honest. The start, when you say they finished just 1 point ahead of behind Juventus, it's true. But we all know
it's
that
half of the story. Yes, it's half of the story.
It wasn't really 1 point. It might have been 5, 6, 7. But yeah, I mean, the idea is Juventus, they had many followers, but no, that you had pressure from Lazio at 1 point, you had pressure from Inter, you had pressure from Atalanta, but it kept, so it was a relaxed running for Juventus. The issue here, we're splitting hairs here. It's he needs a bit more of structure, he needs a bit of support. So it's not like the Inter is the state of Milan, being so far away. He just needs a bit more structure in it.
Yep.
Get a guy with a sporting director that knows what to do, like Leonardo, for instance, who is now at PSG, was before at Inter. Get someone with football knowledge, locker room knowledge, that is able to protect him and take some of the hits intended for the locker room.
But that was what Marotta did at Juventus. If you look at Allegri's period, who was the speaker and who really protected the team from outside and was really active also in the dressing room, at least according to the media, right, was Marotta. So it's quite surprising he's coming out with this sentence. And if I also look at other rumors that are coming from insiders, you see two main things that Conte is basically claiming that the management didn't do correctly. First of all, is that the management openly saw as feasible the league this year. Conte didn't like it. No matter how many players you buy, it's a new project. They really restructure the team, different mindset, different way of playing, different players. So it's quite hard for this first season to be already successful. So he wasn't really happy when they, at least leave the door open for, hey, I mean, we have a good team, we might do it. He wanted to be more protected. And yes, if they were to win the Champions League, everyone would have overjoyed and so on and so forth. But he wanted a little bit more protection there. Second piece is that apparently he would like to have more of a say on the transfer market. So from the rumor that we see is that, for instance, Eriksen wasn't necessarily a player he actively wanted. And we can also see it in the way he's playing him. Like, you don't really have a number 10 in contest structure. It's more like a 3-5-2. And Eriksen is a little bit struggling. He played in many times instead of Martinez as second striker, which is not Eriksen's role. Like, Eriksen is really a number 10, like De Bruyne.
The number 10, yes, I would say.
He loves to have the ball in the feet. He loves to play a lot. He loves to, coordinate the team around him. Conte doesn't have that structure. So I wouldn't be surprised if what the rumors are saying, thus Conte wants to have more of a say on the player they're buying, would be true. And it's not about the amount of players, he got a lot, but about whom.
Yeah, I see your point. Like, I'm still trying to wonder, if Conte was straightforward in terms of what he was trying to achieve, or maybe there's something more hidden that he was trying to cause the upper management to do. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say that it was a cheap attack, but still, when you go public against your employer to the press, it's always something that at least looks very chaotic. Yep. It may not be chaotic in Conte's mind. Maybe it's part of his master plan to obtain more space or more protection from the management. But it's also a very risky move as well. And I refuse to think that an experienced manager such as Conte does not appreciate how risky these moves can be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's quite an interesting situation, and we have to see also Europa League, right? What that's gonna bring to Inter. There are many rumors already at what could happen in the Italian league, because then you look at the whole picture, and as mentioned before, rumors are that if Sarri doesn't win the Champions League, Sarri is out. Then there is an empty space there. So either you get someone from outside, or if you look at the internal market, there are only two managers that could go to Juventus. Simone Inzaghi, given what he did at Lazio, who already last year was named between the short list of managers that could have gone to Juventus.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's definitely appreciated by the Juventus management. And then there's Conte. At the same time, when we look at Inter, who could they get? Well, they don't seem to be too prone to Simone Inzaghi, different way of playing, too much counter-attack, not the players for that play style. So who would be the best? Allegri. It would be quite fun, having Allegri again coming back after Conte, where Conte brought a team a little bit destroyed. I mean, Inter didn't do well over the past years, we all know that. A little bit destroyed and getting it back to a good shape, and then Allegri takes that well-oiled machine and brings it to success. It would be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah. Still, I think it's unlikely that Conte will go to Juventus at least next year. But I don't think that's also like a stupid conspiracy theory as well. It's also an interesting hypothesis, something that could happen. At the moment, I don't buy it like Alex doesn't, but it's something that might shift in the future, possibly.
Yeah, neither do I. I think many of these are just rumors, as all the transfer marks, right? So it's the agent wanting a player or a manager to move more than the manager itself or the management.
But like 99% of what we say are just rumors, so just bring it on with this.
That's the fun part, isn't it?
Yes,
it keeps the spinning, and it keeps us busy during the summer.
Exactly.
But one thing though that is not a rumor though, it's coming back. So this one is a certain one. It's confirmed. He's coming back. It's the second coming of Jesus. Or Judas, should I say, for some of them. Some of the Benfica supporters are now welcoming back their manager. We're talking about Jorge Jesus, and the manager of, until last week, Flamengo, who won the Libertadores and the Brasileirão, is now coming back to the Estádio da Luz, the Stadium of Light. So we're talking an operation that will see him earn 8 million gross, 4 million net back in Lisbon. He's coming to a city where he's a divisive figure in more ways than one. Back in 2015-2016 season, he moved, finishing his 6-year contract at Benfica, across the street to Sporting, and eventually moved out to Saudi Arabia, Brazil, and now finally he's back. He was once called Judas. They put a lawsuit on him for 14 million euros, saying he stole proprietary information. Everything was then rescinded, and now they paid 2 million to get him back from Flamengo. Now the question is, what kind of manager are they bringing back? They're bringing back a winner, that's for sure, but at what cost?
I mean,
Guys,
honestly,
what are your thoughts?
Honestly, with an expression such as the one he has in the picture, I don't trust him. but jokes aside, it's a very interesting question, because I feel like when there's a great comeback, such as the one made by Jesus, it's always like you're going to find some part of the supporters that are going to be very, very happy about it. But like the other half of supporters are going to be still mad at him for everything that happened before. And so they're just going to wait for him to fail to attack him even more. And like the manager has to know that. So is he going to feel a little bit too pressured about this, or is it going to thrive in that pressure? Is my question.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting one. We're talking about a guy who's managed a club with 40 million fans. So I think pressure is something he thrives on. At Benfica, he managed for 6 seasons. He had a 50% success rate in winning the national championship, which isn't bad. But if you look, the ones who followed him also had that, with Vitoria in 3-1-2 actually, so he was even better. And Bruno Lage won 1 and 2, so in line. So the thing is, yes, he created a lot of players, great players, but at what cost? So if I'd like to share with you a small insight on the Benfica model. So the Benfica model is primarily focused on selling players. It's a bit like the Sevilla model in that sense. So if you see here, during the seasons of Jesus from 09-10 to 15-16, in terms of player sales, so obviously he's not responsible for the sales in the summer he arrives, but in the summer he leaves. So he did in line, so around 85, 104, and some a bit below, around the 40s. But they had extraordinary sales, extraordinary results, reaching to European finals. However, the cost of Jesus, for me, we need to see this in terms of what kind of the net transfer. In this case, not only the sales, but the cost of the players bought. He has very expensive taste. So he is the kind of guy who, would get a Witsel for 10 million euros at that time in Belgium, which was quite expensive. So if you see now, looking at the net transfer, 2 of his 3 title wins were actually in seasons where Benfica had a negative net transfer, meaning that they spent more on players they bought than the ones they sold. So he's a very expensive manager in that way. That he delivers success internally. Externally, he lost to European finals, but still, he's a very decisive figure, and he has some issues regarding bringing back youth. And I'm curious to see how he will be able to bring this all back together in a season in which Benfica and most clubs are now unable to have any matchday revenue, which it's around 25% of Benfica's revenue comes from matchday, which is around 40 million. So you're losing out on 40 million euros on one hand. You're having a manager that costs you 8 million a year. He probably will demand a net transfer for Benfica because he needs a lot of supply. And unlike 2009-2010, where he used to buy players for 4 or 5 million for Brazil, those same players now, as we hear from Everton, Cebolinha, it's going to cost at least 20. They're looking more to 30 million euros.
Yeah, precisely. I think the last point is the most important that we have to consider. So aside from COVID situation, so the new market transfer where the prices are low, clubs are not earning that much. I think that the situation that we're living in football is that those 5 to 10 million players that Jesus used to thrive on, finding them cheap, like having expensive taste, yes, because for Portugal, 10 million for a player is not a cheap. The Portuguese team are not as rich as Premier League team by any means. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the structure of how a Portuguese team operates, is buying cheap, selling expensive. That's why everyone put release clauses, just to ensure that you have some leverage point and say, no, this guy goes for 60 million, not 40. But now those 5 million players are very rare. It's hard to look at them. Maybe something in the Balkans is still possible. Maybe some smaller countries in South America. But Brazil, for instance, right now every player goes for 20 million. There is no one really leaving Brazil for less than 20. And if you just think at the Thiago Silva, the Pato, and all the others really that came from Brazil, also Hulk, all the other that came from Brazil to Europe, when they came to Europe were very cheap. So if you had a good connection there, you could do well. And, being just now at Flamengo, you would expect he had this connection. But right now, those connections don't help. I mean, a player is still 20 million. It's going to be hard for him to get in those 5+ players that he usually likes to. I mean, we know he likes to really try a player for 6 months, getting rid of him, buying a new one, until he finds the one he likes. And then the one he likes, he's going to make a great player out of him, like, no doubt. But it's quite hard for him to find the right player for his game set. It's going to be hard, Furthermore, with the lower incomes this year, I don't think prices are gonna decrease that much, because if you are a team and this is a period, you try to hold on those players as much as you can for a season, waiting that hopefully in January 2021 things will unlock. You start having funds again, you start having more revenues, so then the next summer you can resell those players for those 60-100 million that you would have gotten last year, basically.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, and on the other side, I think that after all that happened, the rules of financial fair play will have to be softened a little. And I'm not only referring to the COVID situation, which of course has impacted every single team in the world, but also about what happened with the Manchester City judgment in Lausanne. It feels like that the financial fair play is losing some credibility around here. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, to be honest, it's something that we've seen over the last couple of years. We've seen even some teams like Porto, for instance, being intervened by UEFA and being slapped with the max that you can spend. So now, teams will start to wonder, well, if they got away with it, why can't we? Which might come back to bite us in the way that we'll have teams putting more on the line. And that's the way I can see. That's why I'm worried, despite being from the other side of the street in Lisbon, but a bit worried about the situation of Benfica in this instance. So they're losing away the matchday revenue, and let's be honest here. The Benfica was from the Big Three in Portugal, the only one who didn't enter any agreement to reduce the salaries of the players during the COVID space. So. Not there, they didn't save. Now they're getting an 8 million a year manager who's able to sell players but also needs to buy them. The question is, are they not biting more than they can chew, despite the COVID, the relaxation of the financial fair play?
Yeah, in this perspective, it almost sounds like an all-in strategy, something that could work, and he might be very strong next year with the team. But that if it doesn't, it's just gonna worsen a lot the situation of Benfica.
I think it's really trying to sell a dream. I mean, let's be honest, Jesus was amongst the best time in the past 10 years. I mean, we were coming from a very strong Porto. It took a couple of years to really get to the point where he was leading the team to success. But at the end of Jesus' spell in Benfica, they did quite well. As we already mentioned, a couple of leagues, a couple of Europa League finals. I mean, the curse is still on Benfica, so he couldn't win them, but he got the team there. So it's still good, right, for the players, for the fans, etc. So I think they're really pursuing this dream of let's get back to the old shape where we were regarded as one of the best European teams, nonetheless, and let's try to get there. And to be honest, it's quite good in Europe, I believe, like in continental cups. I mean, we saw it right now in Brazil, but we also saw it at Sporting, despite the fact he didn't manage to qualify in the Champions League group. I believe that the performance that he pulled out of the team was extraordinary. I mean, all the critics were saying that they dominated Real Madrid twice, that they were expected, like, given the quality that the team showed, they should have won many games. And he was quite unlucky there, right? So I think he's good at getting good performance for team. But indeed, it's quite playing a lotto in this situation, getting such an expensive manager now that you've done him, plus it's with being unable to buy that many and being unable to sell. I mean, last year they sold João Felix for over 100 million. That would have been, quote unquote, a good year to get Jesus back. Here, 80 million out of them 100 play with it. This year you won't be able to do those sales.
But to be honest, they still ended it with a net profit of over the value that they got for João Felix. So they ended above the 120 mark last year. So they still have a bit of money to spend. Just, I don't know how I think they'll have money to do what they want to do this year. But what if, what if in the qualifying phase now, because they finished second, what if they don't edge it to the Champions League? Well, that's another 20, 30 million flying. What if he doesn't win the league? That's it's an all-in. They're taking advantage of Porto, who will have to sell a lot of players. We're even discussing Alex Telles, which is one of the best left backs in the world. He's sold for 25 million euros because Porto needs the cash really fast. But what if?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of questions and that are staying in Lisbon. Some others to be answered that might arrive to Lisbon regarding what's happening next Friday and Saturday. We're talking about the Champions League. The Champions League will be back to our screens. We have very, very interesting games ahead. Now, remember, the games are going to take place as scheduled on Friday. You'll have Juventus playing against Lyon after losing the first leg 1-0 in Lyon. Also, at the same time, at 9 p.m. Central European time, we'll have Manchester City welcoming Real Madrid at, in this case, the Etihad.
But isn't it always like this?
Yeah, well, sometimes more than others, but this time for sure it will. We'll have on Saturday, basically just tying up some loose ends. Bayern will welcome Chelsea at the Allianz Arena in Munich. And finally, also on Saturday, Napoli will have the pleasure to visit Barcelona to see where they'll stand after the 1-1 draw of the first leg. Guys, what's going to happen? Let's start in Turin. Cristiano Ronaldo against the mighty Lyon. What is happening? A team full of stars against a team that was on holidays.
Yeah. I don't know. I really struggle to see after this long from the last game that you played. And no matter, yes, they played the League Cup final last week. They did a good performance, but they had to play 120 minutes. And I think on, not fit players, like not match fit players, playing 120 minutes will pay a toll. And it might just be a little bit of muscle sore, but I don't think that Lyon is in the right position to play this Champions League. And the same will apply for PSG, really. I do see Juventus coming back from the 1-0. And it's really due to the simple quality, like the mere quality of the players. I mean, Ronaldo can shot from 30 meters and pull a goal. Dybala has showed the whole season that he can make worthies. And he just won the player of the season in Serie A, showing what a season he had and how he really managed to step up compared to the past years. I really see Juventus coming back from the 1-0, be it in the regular time or be it in the extra time. But to be honest, I would be quite surprised if Juventus will fail this.
Yeah, I agree with you, Marco, actually, because, I mean, while Lyon will still have the psychological advantage of knowing that they won 1-0 the first leg of bracket, still, like, players, especially like Ronaldo, thrive precisely in these types of matches. Like it is their match usually, and it is also true that Juventus has been playing more than Lyon in the last few matches because, of course, the French Championship ended up. How long ago was that actually? How long ago was it? I think.
8 weeks, I believe, the last game they played.
Yeah, about 2 months. So that's going to have a very, very strong role, I think. And so, I see the coming back of Juventus as well.
Okay, so you two guys, your verdict is clear. We're going to go with Juventus win. I will join you guys on this one. I think just the form difference is going to be abysmal. Lyon played the other day the League Cup final against PSG, but let's be honest, one game doesn't bring anything. So I think it will be win for Cristiano and co. also, and they will overturn the result of the first leg. And from Turin, let's then take an easy jet to Manchester. What is going to happen at the Etihad, or Etihad if you want to go back to it? What are we going to be able to see there? Are we going to see the Real Madrid coming back, or is City going to be able to defend the 2-1 lead brought from Santiago Bernabeu?
I think actually the Real Madrid coming back is going to be happening, and of course I respect very much Guardiola as a manager. He has such strong performances in many different top European teams. But still, you have to also respect Zidane's experience in the Champions League. Like he won 3 Champions League, which is something really crazy, and also Real Madrid won the Spanish Championship as well. So they proved to be a very strong team this year, and to have maybe recovered from the loss of Cristiano Ronaldo that happened last year. So even though they lost 2-1 in the first leg of the bracket, I actually think they can make it.
So we have 2 teams, right? On one hand, you have the team where probably the most expectant Ballon d'Or, Benzema, by many appointed as who should have gotten the Ballon d'Or this year, is playing, and the manager that over the past 3-4 years has proven the best European football in the world. Indeed, 3 Champions League are you don't win 3 Champions League randomly.
Yeah.
However, I don't know why, but I really feel that Manchester City is gonna win this one. It's a team that has struggled the whole season. But Guardiola knows what he's doing. The players are of absolute quality. It's undeniable. We do see how in the Premier League, indeed, they didn't ever really put a challenge to Liverpool. But I don't know why I have the feeling that it's they're playing in Manchester, right? And they already won the first leg. I think Guardiola can manage such a result. He really likes the tiki-taka. I really like the short passes. I don't know why. I have the feeling Manchester City is gonna save this one. Probably it's something like a 1-1, a draw, and winning based on the first result. I'm gonna go for Manchester City with this one. That's my verdict.
Very, very nice. Okay,
and what's your hammer, Marco, for the verdict? Maybe next time.
That's something he has to work on. I will side with Stefan on this one. I think it's European nights by the floodlights. Real Madrid. It just sounds like I've seen this picture way too many times before. Yes, they had the number 7 to support them, and now they won't. But still, Zidane has been done wonders with Karim Benzema, as Marco well put, making him a Ballon d'Or contender, which 2-3 years ago we would have laughed at this statement.
Yeah.
And so I think it will be one of those nights, for Real Madrid, despite all the challenges that they face. If I'm not mistaken, even Sergio Ramos won't be able to give his contribution to the Madrileños. So let's see how it ends. But my verdict is gonna agree with Stefano, and I think Real Madrid will get another flight to Lisbon. From one Ballon d'Or contender to the other. At the Allianz Arena, Lewandowski and his colleagues from Bayern Munich will defend a 3-0 lead from Chelsea that they brought from Stamford Bridge. I'll kick off you guys with my verdict, and I think it will be unanimous. It's nice. It will be nice. But that's over. 3-0. It's a lot of baggage for a team as professional as Bayern Munich. It's a German's machine. They are not very flamboyant, but they will not make mistake after mistake after mistake.
In Germany, sorry to add this, I fully quote every single word. I don't see this happening. Chelsea doesn't even have the players to really pull 3 magical tricks out of the hat, really like 30 meters shots that just go in the corner of the net. I don't think they are this kind of team this season. They couldn't really do transfer market this season. It's a transition season. Everyone knows. A decent result in the league nonetheless. So I think they got what they wanted out of this. They got to the Champions League elimination stage. That's it. I don't think that they are either expecting or anyone was really expecting anything more from this spell. And they won't.
Yeah.
I don't expect the change of the result.
Yeah, I got really nothing to add to this. I totally agree with you. I personally simply don't see this happening.
Very, very well. So let's then go to sunny Barcelona. Well, we expect it's going to be in sunny Barcelona. Still not full confirmation that the game will take place in Barcelona, since Napoli intended to protest and have the game transferred to Lisbon directly due to the COVID situation that is slightly out of control in La Ciudad Condal. In Barcelona, will play against Napoli. 1-1 was the result at the San Paolo. What say you in the case of Barcelona v Napoli?
I have a strong opinion about this. I think that Barcelona in the past couple of months show that it's not the well, how can I say, old machine that it used to be. There are a lot of players going against each other. Messi has had quite strong opinions that also have been shared with the media. Rumors are that he even might leave Barcelona, and we know how important is Messi, not just in the dressing room, but generally speaking, in the idea of what is the playing style of Barcelona. Apparently, they have plenty of injuries. They're only gonna bring 12 players from the senior squad, and they're gonna fill the bench with 8 youngsters. So they can't even, have that change of players after these very hectic months of post-COVID, where they had to play every 3 games. That's not gonna easy for players to sustain again a high-level football for 90 minutes, possibly extra time. I really see Napoli getting this back. It's more, if Napoli can get that early goal, I think they have a paved road underneath them. It's really about Barcelona getting a little bit in panic mode. We're gonna lose this one. The draw in the first leg does help for Napoli mentally. They know they have to score 1 goal, and but that goal, if that was to be scored, I think that would be the end of Barcelona. So I'm gonna go for Napoli for this one.
Yeah, I feel rather undecided about this one, but if I really have to choose, which I think I do, I'm probably gonna go with Barcelona actually, because even though you made very good arguments, I think still like the superiority of Barcelona's team as individual players rather than a team at this point can probably still make the difference. And also, while it is true that the Camp Nou will be empty, which is something that you don't witness very often, still, I think that Napoli players can pay for the lack of experience in the Champions League, and maybe against such a strong team with such a strong history, such as Barcelona, perhaps they're just gonna feel too pressured and maybe not perform as well as they could. But if I have to argue on the other side, I would say that Gattuso can be a very good manager in this sense, to motivate his players to keep on fighting and trying to achieve the result. So it will definitely. I'm expecting. I'm not expecting a one-sided match. I'm expecting a very good match to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting what the Donkeys are going to do at the Camp Nou. I must admit, I think on the side of the team from the San Paolo in this one. I think they will have that grinta, that willingness to give the extra that Barcelona does not have. I think they are deflated. We've seen it by their league contention with Real Madrid, where they had a huge advantage and they let it slip. They seem unmotivated. They seem like they just want to get over with this season, and they seem like it's once and for all. Just want to restart, reboot, and get the situation going. Napoli is coming in hungry. They're coming in strong in one-off games. The Rino, as you can show them, as you show there, that guy, he can motivate anyone, So I think it's going to be a goalful draw for Napoli, or a Napoli win that will take this home for them to be able to travel to Lisbon and join the remaining teams in the quarterfinals, where we already know that Red Bull Leipzig, Atletico Madrid, Atalanta, and PSG have booked their tickets. The other remaining 4 will decide this weekend. So, guys, we've come to an end of our first podcast. The Euro football verdict was our first podcast. This allowed us to have our first experience, giving our opinions, our verdicts, sharing with you what happened and what's going to happen in the world of continental European football. I want to thank my 2 co-hosts, Stefano and Marco. Thank you so much for all your experience and your verdicts.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
In
And
fact, thanks especially to those who managed to hear to us until the end, because you have to be very, very brave for that, and I respect it. And thanks a lot for listening. We are very happy to start this new podcast, and there's going to be a lot of content hopefully coming in the next few weeks.
yeah, and that is it, guys, from us on our first podcast. See you guys next week, where we'll review the games that happened on the remaining last 16 of the Champions League and preview what is ahead for our special Champions League finals that is going to take place in Lisbon. See you guys.
See you.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, ciao.